Before rock stars had managers, before teen idols had machines behind them, it was kids singing on street corners who became true trendsetters in early rock and roll. They didn't know that they was making history. They just knew the music felt right. Then one day, one song changed everything. They became famous overnight. They became rich on the radio, but not in real life. And they became a warning before anyone knew the cost of the music business. The centerpiece of today's video is all about the teenagers. Now, if you guys love my videos and love supporting me, then I suggest you become a member of the channel where I will be releasing exclusive videos just for you all. Be sure to get that family tier so you won't miss out on these exclusive perks. If you guys would love to connect with me outside of YouTube, then I am officially announcing that I am on Discord. Here, you can provide me with feedback on my recent uploads. You could drop your suggestions for future videos, or if you just want to chat it up about videos or about music in general, or just about anything, we could do it here. We could do it together. I hope to see you there. Now, before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now, without further ado, let's cue that intro. In the early 50s, New York City was alive with harmony on street corners and schoolyards, and under hallways echo young voices blending into something magical. Doo-Wop wasn't just music, it was community. In 1954, Jimmy Merchant and Sherman Garnes, both 9th grade students at Edward W. Stenton High School in Washington Heights, they created a group that was named the Earth Angels. That group was short-lived, but Merchant and Garnes was not disheartened. They soon began a conversation with two Puerto Rican neighbors, Herman Santiago and Joe Negroni. After an encounter on 164th Street, the group adopted the name the Cooptevilles. Across the street resided a family of 4 brothers, Howie, Timmy, Louis, and Frankie Lymon, all singers. The 4 Cooptevilles eventually changed their names to the Premiers, and they altered rehearsals, resulting in performances at neighborhood talent shows. One of these shows was scheduled for the school auditorium. At the show, the group decided to rehearse in one of the classrooms. A young child who was set to perform with his brother walked in and begged them to sing a couple songs with them. And this kid was Frankie Lymon, and he was also Herman's 12-year-old neighbor. They performed the songs Why Don't You Write Me, Painted Pictures, and Lily Maybelle. They had so much fun together that they promised to do it again. But here's the twist. No one formally invited Frankie to participate. Following the talent contest, Frankie began hanging out with the older boys, and he eventually became the first tenure under Santiago's direction. They rehearsed wherever they could. No studios, no producers, just harmony, rhythm, and youthful emotion. What they didn't know was that their innocence will soon collide with the business side of music. By 1955, when they weren't reverting to the Premiers, the quintet was known as the Ermines. On one fateful evening, the Hallway Kids, as the neighbors named them, they was rehearsing when they was approached by a man named Robert, a guy who frequently paused and listened to them before entering his apartment. He gave them a stack of poems from his wife. The group went over them, and they began working on one in particular that was titled Why Do Birds Sing So Gay. Frankie worked on the melody line, while others developed a harmony, and tenured Jimmy Merchant created the vocal bass intro. It began as a ballad, but it quickly transformed into an up-tempo rocker. The song evolved into Why Do Fools Fall in Love. Lyman's youthful voice soared over the group's harmonies, capturing teenage emotion in a way that no one had ever done before. When the record hit the airwaves in 1956, it exploded. The teenagers became instant stars, touring and appearing on television shows while performing to screaming crowds. They were some of the first true teen idols in music history. But while the fame was real, the protection wasn't. The teenagers were still children. They was traveling, performing, and earning money in an industry that rarely looked out for young artists. Contracts were signed without the full understanding. Royalties disappeared, and adults, they made decisions while the kids paid the price. Lyman's youth made him both a star and a target. The industry focused on him and slowly began pulling him away from the group. What started as a brotherhood began to fracture under pressure. While remaining on a 6-week European tour, the label owner began messing with the quintet's dynamic, which made them so popular. He began to alternate things on a yearly basis, such as the group's name, when he named it Frankie Lymon and the Teenagers. As Frankie's popularity grew, management pushed him towards a solo career. This decision changed everything. Frankie left the Teenagers while still a teenager himself. Without their lead singer, the group struggled to maintain momentum. While Frankie faced pressures he was never prepared for, the split marked one of the earliest examples of how fame could separate young artists before they can fully understand its costs. Without proper guidance, Frankie Lymon's life spiraled, fame faded, and personal struggles grew. Addiction and financial issues followed. The industry that lifted him up moved on just as quickly. Meanwhile, the remaining teenagers continued performing in various forms, trying to reclaim their magic, but the moment had passed. Other groups came and took the attention, and the spotlight shifted. Their story became a cautionary tale, not just about one group, but about the price of early fame. The Teenagers' legacy is one of pioneering influence and lasting cultural impact, as they helped define both the sound and image of early rock and roll and doo-wop. The Teenagers symbolized the promise of prevail of early fame, exposing the music industry exploitation of young artists while leaving behind a sound that continues to influence R&B, pop, and rock. Despite their short time at the top, the Teenagers left an enormous legacy. They helped launch youth-driven pop music, influenced Motown vocal groups, and they paved the way for boy bands and teen idols. They brought teenage emotion into mainstream music. Why Do Fools Fall in Love remains one of the most covered and influential songs in American history. Their sound lives on, sampled, re-recorded, and remembered. The Teenagers didn't have long careers, but they had a prominent impact. They was young, they was gifted, and they was unprotected. They sang about love before they understood it. They lived in fame before they could handle it. And they left behind a song that would never grow old. Along the way, we have lost several members of the Teenagers, including Sherman Garnes, who passed on February 26, 1977 at the age of 36, Joe Negroni, who passed on September 5, 1978 at the age of 37, and Frankie Lymon, who passed on February 27, 1968 at the age of 25. Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. What is your favorite song by the Teenagers?